Webinar on the topic, the value of play-based learning in early years curriculum. I'm Dr. Vasavi Acharya, founder and chairperson of Early Childhood Development Forum. ECDF is an NGO that has been working relentlessly for the past 5 years to bring in the best practices of ECCE from all parts of the globe. Through its programs, we organize national and international conferences, edu-tours, seminars, parent enrichment programs, webinars, edu-talks by experts, education awards, and so forth. ECDF also publishes its half-yearly educational journal by the title EdClan, Empowering Educators, Nurturing Young Minds, which is scheduled to be released in its upcoming issue in December. ECDF gathers funds through its program to support children from the not-so-fortunate sections of society by providing books and materials, and also through skill development training programs in rural areas in different parts of Assam and in India. To know more, visit our website, www.ecdforum.org. Well, children naturally learn through play by engaging and making sense of their world. Play-based learning is self-chosen, enjoyable, process-oriented. These opportunities are experiences that are child-directed and teacher-facilitated. Well, I'm coming to today's webinar on the topic, the value of play. Play-based learning in early years curriculum, and I'm glad to have a stellar lineup of speakers who will shed light on this very interesting topic. Let us welcome Dr. Sue Allingham from UK. Dr. Sue is an MA and a doctorate in early childhood education from UK. She has been a teacher and local authority advisor and is now an independent consultant, author, and trainer. Dr. Sue works across the profession in a variety of settings. She firmly believes that children deserve practice and provisions that is developmentally informed. As such, she is regularly requested to write articles, develop training, speak at events, and work alongside teams nationally and internationally. Dr. Sue is a co-team member of Early Childhood Development Forum. Welcome, Dr. Sue.
Thank you, Dr. Vasavi. It's a pleasure to speak to you again and to meet with everybody across the world. I'm going to share my screen. Is that okay?
I will be introducing all the other speakers, and then we will move on to the question, Dr. Sue.
It's a very short presentation as requested.
Right.
Please. So, is that okay? So the whole thing about play is it's very high in people's minds at the moment. So basically, I've created 2 slides to problematize play and to ask questions. My remit for this talk was how does play help a child to learn? Well, how does it help a child to learn? Let's look at that word, those 4 little letters, and think about, what does this actually look like? What does it mean? Can it happen in the classroom? Well, yes, it clearly can. In the photograph, there is a little boy who is, to some eyes, playing, but to more developmentally informed eyes, this child is actually experimenting. Vasavi, you just used the word experiential. This is experiential learning at its finest. What he's actually doing is transporting sand from one end of the unit along the unit in various containers until he eventually gets it to the baking tray at the end, which currently is empty. Yes, there is sand everywhere, but the principle of the whole thing is this child is learning something. You can't see his whole face, but you know just by picturing the rest of it that he's actually really engaged and involved in his learning. It's the good old Leuven scale stuff of well-being and involvement. He's very comfortable in his environment and that he's enabled to experiment like this. Therefore, he is involved. His brain is actively thinking stuff. So yes, it can happen in the classroom. What does it look like? Well, we've just seen what it looks like. It looks like any child who is actively engaged and involved in something. Now, that doesn't have to involve resources. So moving into the what does it require, it doesn't have to involve resources. It could be anything. It could be a child sitting on their own in a corner, looking at their fingers and working something out. It could be a cardboard box, or a piece of tape, or a feather that they found on the playground, or a leaf. It doesn't require anything specific. But what does it require? What it requires is that developmentally informed adult. Unfortunately, and I know this is probably universal, we have adults, sometimes in our government, who don't understand that when they're looking at the youngest children, they're experiencing, they're learning, they're doing things. They may actually simply be observing what's going around them. But actually, in some ways, that's playing, because mentally they are working through things and thinking, what happens if I look at that and wonder what's going on over there? And do I want to be part of that? Or shall I be part of that? Making choices, problem solving. We've recently had a document come out in England that suggests that play isn't learning, because a child can be playing, which might be involving their hands, but it's not involving their brain. Well, I think all of us in the room today would argue that if a child is playing something, even if they're just like with this scarf, fiddling with something, their brain is thinking something. They might be working something through, not about the scarf, but problem solving something. So it doesn't require resources, but what it does require, the most important resource, is that developmentally informed, observing, listening, and thinking adult. Well, what can happen as a result? Well, I often use a slide that says the sky's the limit. If you enable that play, that investigatory learning, if you like, that experiential learning, then the learning that the child gets from anything you actively teach is going to go to a higher level, because you've opened their mind to different ways of thinking. Look at, again, the little boy with the sand. Who knew he was going to try and think about transporting the sand from one end of the unit to the other end of the unit via different containers? He's really problem solving that. He's really thinking about it. He's worked out how he's going to transport it from one thing to another thing to the end thing, which of course brings in schemas, but we haven't got time to talk about schemas today. So he's investigating, he's problem solving. If you really want to think about it, he's going from left to right. Therefore, he might be doing some early reading skills in parts of the world where reading goes from left to right. He's doing some mathematics, because he's looking at different sizes of containers and thinking about how many he needs to go to the big tray at the end. What can happen as a result? Well, you name it, it can happen, but you need that open mind. So basically, what is play? Well, play is a core part of learning. And I'm actually indebted to our friend, also part of the ECDF core group, Dr. Catherine Murray, for the expression playful learning, because we were talking about this the other day. Play on its own gets a lot of derision around the world. Oh, you just play, all you do is play. But if we start to embed it in the word playful, the phrase playful learning, then it adds another dimension. We shouldn't have to, but it's useful. And of course, ultimately, play is a right of the child. It's part of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 31. Every child has the right to play. A wide range of cultural and artistic activities. I actually don't think that goes far enough, because I think it needs to include that embedding learning. And I'm just going to share this second slide with you. I am not going to read it through. Remember, I started by talking about problematizing the word play, by unpacking it and thinking about it. We know, because we work with the youngest children, that play makes a child learn, play supports a child to learn. It sums it up here, and I've given you the reference at the bottom. But to problematize it that one last bit further, we provide visible opportunities for play. So why don't our routines enable it? So basically, I'm sending you off with a powerful thought in my little short talk about how play enables learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sue. Very wonderfully said. Play is an integral part of learning, and for children, it's very important. And in India, we have the play policy. So generally, when we look at the conventional method of teaching that used to be early on, play was not a part of it. It was more about learning per se. But how important play is, it's, gradually with a lot of research, lot of work into it and understanding the importance of play and how we can implement it in our day-to-day life, in the lives of children, be it in school or be it at home. Thank you so much for elaborating on how does play make a child learn. And moving on to our next speaker, Ms. Darlin. So we have with us Darlin Kolskin, founder of Move Kids, Finland, who created a digital program focused on building a strong movement foundation for young children through activities, videos, and lesson plans. With over 35 years of teaching experience, she passionately advocates for early physical development using playful methods and simple equipment to teach essential movement skill. Hello, Darlin. Welcome to the show, to the webinar of ECDF today. And
thank you.
My question to you is, how can you create an environment that encourages purposeful play? Over to you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So thank you. Thank you for the invite to be here. It's an absolute pleasure, as always, to share what I'm so passionate about. Encouraging purposeful play is really important, as we all know. And my passion is movement, and I have a great deal of fun with early learners and exploring movement and getting them to learn movement skills through play. So what is purposeful play? Okay, so purposeful play helps young children learn in a way that is natural and engaging. So as you can see in this photo, we had a great deal of fun a few weeks ago where I just gave the children a whole lot of equipment, and we explored different ways of carrying that equipment under the arm, on the finger, on the head. And the children had a great deal of fun working out where to put which one first and how to hold the finger so that the hoop doesn't fall off, and to hold the head straight so that the ring stays on the head, so they're princesses. So there's just so many different ways that you can explore movement with little ones, simply by just getting them to hold it in different ways and then move from A to B. So it is an approach that is fun and intentional. So as you can see in this photo, the children are understanding that if the finger is straight, it does not fall off. The baton under the arm, they have to squeeze it so that it doesn't fall out. They have to keep their head still so the ring stays on their head. So all of these are just different learning experiences, and then the motor planning of how to get all those things there as well. So it is when planned activities support specific learning objectives. So whenever I'm teaching, I have a theme that I'm working on, and then I always plan my activities around that, and I introduce the activities to the children in different ways. The adult's role. So as a facilitator, we have to be enthusiastic. We have to be full of fun ourselves. We have to get down to their level and enjoy doing the activities with them. So, our own interaction is what's going to inspire children to move, and it's our responsibility to do so. All right, so the more engaged we are, the more engaged they are going to be. So this is just a few ways that I engage children in playful movement. So to sing a song or to make one up. I have a video I'll show you next that you will see how I do this. I use sound effects. So if I'm, for example, if I'm throwing a ball down on the floor, just getting them to learn to push it down, I will go like that. So emphasizing the sound and the effort it requires to push that ball down. And then next thing, all those little ones are also going, and they're copying my sound effects, which is always fun. And I use pretend play. So now these little children are pretending to be a little scared beetle, and they're nice and small. So I'm down there on the floor with them and encouraging them to get into the theme of the pretend play. I use music. So children respond very well to music. Music and movement, as we all know, is an excellent combination. So very often I've got music playing and the children are moving around different ways, and then the music stops. They have to pretend to be something. And to inspire curiosity. So that's just giving them a piece of equipment and saying, I wonder what you can do with this hoop. What do you think you can do? So these are just a few ways that I do it. But I will show you a video now. Sorry, I need to take these off, otherwise you won't. So I'm going to be talking to you about doing hoop activities for 2 to 3-year-olds, and as well as the importance of doing so. So when you are doing these kinds of activities, you are developing manual dexterity, you are strengthening their fingers so that when they come to using scissors and holding a pencil and anything to do with requiring the pincer grip, this then helps to develop the muscles and the hands for this purpose. When you are using hoops for little ones, make sure they are as small as possible. So for 2 to 3-year-olds, I use a 40-centimeter diameter hoop. So now I'm going to share the fun activities that I do with this age group. So first of all, I like to sing a song. As often as possible, I sing because this engages them and they follow really well. So for example, I would sing a simple song like, this is the way we turn the hoop. Turn the hoop, turn the hoop. So I would sing this kind of song, and whenever I'm doing activities with the little ones, I exaggerate the hand movements. So this is just for them to simply learn how to maneuver the fingers, which is pretty challenging, okay? And then if I'm going to do an activity where they move their hands along the hoop like this, I would open and close, so really emphasizing that they have to change the grip. So this one and then this one, and this one moves and the other one catches it. This one moves and the other one catches it. So just in that way. And then we could be spinning the hoop. So this is the way we spin the hoop, spin the hoop, spin the hoop. And the little ones would do it very gently to begin with, but they come to really enjoy doing this activity. Then an activity that I like to do for them, which is also very, very good for motor planning, is that they pass the hoop around their body. So they have to learn to change hands at the back, come to the front, change hands, change at the back, and change in the front. So this takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of support from the adult to do it, but once they understand, they then do it pretty easily. And then another activity I do is that they can pretend to be driving a car. So this is really good for pretend play, but the adult needs to get on the floor, do it with them, use the sound effects and make it fun. So just sitting down and then having their steering wheel, I emphasize to hold it like this, and round the corner, and stop. The light is red. So you can do some integrated learning here about the color of the traffic lights and what they do and so on. So lots of sound effects, going from one side to the other and really getting involved with doing that activity. And then you can also do directional movement. Okay, so for example, they can hold it down and then they can lift it up nice and tall and then go down and up, down and up. All right, so these are just a few simple ideas that you can do with a hoop for children ages 2 to 3 years. All right, so I will just quickly finish off with this slide. I know the time goes fast. But so, for example, just using the phrase, I wonder if we can roll the rope up like a curled up snake. So just like this little girl has done with the red rope. Could we wind the rope around our arm? Should we try folding it as small as we can? Or who can wiggle their rope like a busy worm? So these are just different ways of engaging the children to do different activities with the rope, because I think a lot of children have probably never played with the rope. So just to inspire them to do all different ideas, and then to ask them for what they can think of to do with equipment such as rope, balls, bean bags, or hoops. So I hope that if you're a kindergarten teacher, you have this type of equipment, get it out and explore having a lot of fun with children using simple equipment like this in playful ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darlin, for so beautifully explaining how to create an environment that engages purposeful play through activities, through movement and music and movement. So play, yeah, it helps us develop sensomotor skills, the fine motors, the gross motors. Cognition develops imagination, like you talked about. The girl was trying to roll it up as a snake, and one would try to, use it as in their hands and pull it or do different things. It helps in problem solving, developing peer skills. It basically develops a child holistically. And that is why it is so important. So recently we have done one, kind of an assessment where we were looking at how much movement a child has, or a child of today has. And when we did that assessment, we saw that the children had developed a lot of other skills. They were very cognitively smart. They were, developing language skills and others, but they were not very active. And there they were not scoring high. And that was where, it actually came into my mind how nowadays they do play through different ways, even through gadgets. They're playing, but they're not actually moving, which is so important. So that's a very important aspect of development. And thank you so much for shedding light on and the importance of activities, the movement and music in a child's life. Moving on to our next speaker, Smriti Agarwal. She is an active leader, associate editor, author, parenting expert, a teacher trainer. Smriti believes in knowledge sharing, collaborating, innovating, and reinventing the best practices in the ECCE space with fellow educators. She has been a multiple award-winning early childhood educator since the year 1995, who has been associated with the best schools in a leadership role in India. Smriti Agarwal is the West Zonal Head of ECDF and academic mentor for Madhuban Book Foundation. She is also a co-team member of ECDF. Welcome, Smriti.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wasabi.
My question
It's
to
always
you
a
is
pleasure to be with ECDF and
amazing.
co-team members.
It's always a pleasure to have all of you, join us for these very interesting topics which shed lights, and actually it, enhances the knowledge of those who watch us and add to what they have been doing. Everybody's doing wonderful work, and they can, take in the best practices and implement. So my question to you, Smriti, is what are the differences between free play and guided play, and how can you incorporate guided play to achieve learning goals? Over to you, Smriti.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, Dr. Wasabi. And let me go and share my screen. Okay, so when we talk about play, so play, like Dr. Sue said, and but just before me, Darlene had beautifully demonstrated that you don't need too much for children to play. The main thing is the intention. I think you should have the right intention. You should give them the right opportunities to play, and they will play. Children and play can't be away from each other. And as Maria Montessori said, that play is the work of childhood. So if you want any work done, if you want brain development to happen, if you want academic success, anyone who wants any of these things for children then the way and the path to the success is through play. So free and guided play, not only that, but there are many types of play which we sometimes ignore as parents and as educators. So we should be looking into all kinds of play. Free play, of course. Then there after free play is we have guided play, structured play, physical play, social play, constructive play, and fantasy play. Now when you talk about all these play, for children it's just play. We have divided them into these types of different play with zones that okay what the children are going to be doing. According to that, when we talk about all these plays areas, structured play is something that the schools are always looking at, or the guided play, because excuse me, because for guided and structured play there are always learning outcomes to be achieved. Free play is something that we have no agenda behind it. We do not have an objective, but we tell the children and give them the time and opportunity to play. That's when social play, physical play, or fantasy play and pretend play comes to be it happens to be seen. Because when you give them free time, when you give them free play, they can come up with such creative ideas on play. They can make their own games, and you see how well they play physically, socially, and what are they constructing, what are their fantasies like, and what kind of pretend play are they doing. Everybody can do the pretend play, all children would do it with for people around them, or the concepts or any kind of things that they are hearing, learning in their environment or in their classrooms. So all these types of plays are very, very important. So let's go to the play stages. Just one second.
We are in interview.
Huh?
We are in
I am in a webinar.
webinar. When will you get free?
10 minutes?
Then you meet this teacher with respect to coordinator role of early beginnings.
All right.
Just wait.
I am. Okay, I'm so sorry for that. And I could not see the screen to mute myself. So sorry. Okay, play stages. Now, just like types of play, we have play stages. Starting with the unoccupied play, where the child is very, very young and is just kicking the legs and hands and just trying to be in unoccupied play. Solitary play, where the child is playing alone and discovering and exploring the environment and pulling at things, putting them in their mouth and all of those. Onlooker play, when a child is looking at you and also looking at another children play, but is not getting involved themselves, and they take some time to get involved. Parallel play, of course, when there are two children playing side by side and they each of them have to have their own toy to play. Associative play, that fine, I'll play with the other children, and this comes in the stage of play group, age group, like 2 to 3 years or 2 to 4 years, that I still need my own toy and you have your own toy. There is no sharing there, but there's associative play. And later comes cooperative play after the age of 5, when I understand rules, when I understand that I have to cooperate and collaborate with others to play. Now, why is play so important? We've already seen and discussed. And like Dr. Vasavi asked me that, okay, fine, what is the difference between free and guided play? So free and guided I explained, and play stages I explained. The entire purpose of play is a whole child development. The entire purpose of play is holistic development. Development of all the domains can happen just through play. So the moment we start teaching a child, the moment we start formally educating a child, is where we have actually lost the entire purpose of childhood and them learning, because that environment is not where the children would learn the maximum. Free play would be child led. There would be social play, fantasy play, physical play coming in play. When we talk about guided play, it's adult led. I am telling you what to do and you play according to the rules or according to the structure that is there. So constructive play or structured play section can be there. Let's go to the and see. Now when you see here, there is a teacher here, there are blocks there. Now this is like a guided play. Play is happening, children are engrossed, and it's a guided play. but it's a purposeful play where we are playing, or we have decided on a session or a timing or an opportunity with the children that we have to achieve a series of learning outcomes. Like just through this block play, there can be so many outcomes that we can achieve for early childhood education, whether it is shapes, its sizes, its colors, its constructing, its perseverance, its resilience. So many things and learning outcomes can be achieved through the play of just having the blocks with you. So overall development of the child can be achieved through mindfully curated play opportunities. And here also I have a hoop, like just like Darlene did, and she did wonderful things with that hoop. I would have never thought of something that these are so, we see is as very simple activities and exercises, but there are a lot of developmental stages hidden behind those. And for children, they are very complex. So let's get down to the child's level and understand that, each and every game, activity, play that they are doing is actually complex for them, and they have to have an algorithm in their brains. Okay, now what will be next? How will I do it? How do I achieve it? So play is giving them those critical thinking skills, those problem solving skills, and the skills that are required for them to be successful in the 21st century. And academics will of course come after that, but then it would come easier if the base is play. What do you think? How would a child learn mathematical concepts better? From the picture there you can see the child playing with the beads, grains, or whatever. Or if it would be a teacher standing in front of the board writing 1, 2, 3 and telling them, okay, fine, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Do you think the child would be learning better with the board? Or if we tell them, okay, sort out these beads, and you play with them, or you have a pair of tongs, or you have a tweezer and you grasp the ball. So fine motor skills are being developed along with that mathematical concepts of number and value association. Everything is developing together. This way children would understand numbers much better. So this can be the guided play that we are looking towards. So in a classroom, let's go for these kinds of play. Science experiments. An orange with the peel or without the peel. Now, what if we ask the child to predict? The teacher shows the two and does not give out the answers and say, fine, these are the two things that I have. What do you think? Which one will sink? Which one will float? Now here they are doing a prediction. After that, they are actually experimenting. And then they are arriving at a conclusion through their observation. So this is what guided play is required in schools, inside the classroom. This is how they learn the best, by doing. When the head, heart and hand, all the three are involved. And the other picture you can see that there is pretend play. Take pretend play a step forward. Don't just act, and just don't ask the children to act like that. Don't guide them just for that. Now the children are much more smarter. The brains are working overtime. They are the children of the alpha generation right now. Now see, one child is a firefighter and now he was rescuing somebody, or actually washing out fire somewhere, and got sick, or smoke went into him. Then he needs a doctor. Then the doctor comes in. Now there are two children collaboratively playing pretend play with two different situations, and here they're getting to know everything what to do. So what happens when you're choking? What happens when the smoke goes in? What happens to a firefighter? How a doctor cures the child, the patient. So many things, and so much of communication. Just here when they are talking and communicating with each other, and you'll get to know what all are they thinking about and where their thinking is going. So much more interesting. Outdoor play. Everything about a life's lessons that you have to learn. You have to understand. You can do it in a playground. Trust me. So you see the merry-go-round, when everybody is pushing and going towards the same goal and same objective in the same direction, otherwise it would not move. So here the child is learning how to collaboratively work as a team member, which is going to be helpful for him in his university days and for his job, to get along with peer groups, so many things. The ups and downs of life and as well as the weight, as well as heavy, light, up, down, spatial understanding, positional understanding is in the playground. When you see the children playing in the playground, just observe them and see how many physics and lessons and how many mathematical concepts and how many life skills can be learned. Wait for your turn. Okay, go up the ladder, come down the slide, and then wait again for your turn to go up. How much of self-regulation, social and emotional regulation do you require here? And how much are the children doing? They learn to wait for their turn, they learn to put others' needs first, then they learn to come down, but then go up again. Just in a minute, they want to go up again. So, going up and reaching there, coming down. So, you see, even if you are just in, you take the children out in the playground, you see how much they can play. In a free play, all this can be learned. In the guided play, like I had shown you, all this can be learned. Right? When you talk about guided play and when you talk about free play, both are teaching the children everything that they have to learn during their kindergarten years. Okay, this is a short video. If you do not have time for the entire thing, at least some part of it, this video is about executive functioning, okay, which everybody needs to learn in life. So let's see if in this video, entire
But when
video, you
it's your
see
turn
anybody
again,
telling
you also
anything.
have to remember what it is you're supposed to be doing.
1 second.
So
Science tells us that brains, minds, are built, not born. And at the center of this dynamic architecture are a set of skills called executive function and self-regulation.
children's self-regulation and executive function are key ingredients in their lifetime performance. It's not just about learning language or learning numbers or learning colors. We have to be able to work effectively with others, with distractions, with multiple demands. These actually are skills that contribute to the productivity of the American workforce.
Look at your shapes. What should you have done next?
Educators, I think, are looking for just this sort of thing. And when we describe what we mean by executive function, they say, yes, that's it. That's exactly, the problem. These kids, they can tell me these rules, but they can't actually use them.
What's this? A toolbox.
A tool.
What is executive function?
Sort of like an air traffic control system in the brain. Just like an air traffic control system has to manage lots of airplanes going on, lots of runways, and really exquisite timing and so on. A child has to manage a lot.
All right, we'll stop there for the time being. It's a little longer video, but when we're talking about executive functioning and the brain development, did you see in the video there was not even a moment when the children were not playing? Basically, it was not that the classroom system where the children are sitting in one place and the teacher is teaching. The entire focus was on different activities that they are doing collaboratively. So collaboration and being in a play scenario are teaching them much more than we would think that we are going to be as adults teaching them. So let them be with children, let them play. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Wasabi.
Thank you so much, Smriti, and very beautifully elaborated, described step by step with a lot of clarity for our early childhood educators and parents. So now moving on, we have with us today Amy Vora, founder of the Enrichment Express program in South Mumbai. She is a dedicated educator with over 2 decades in early childhood education. She holds a BCom from Sydenham College, a foundation in commercial arts from Nirmala Niketan, an ECCE diploma, and a B.Ed from New Zealand in New Zealand Tertiary College. Welcome, Amy Vora.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vasavi. I'm so happy and privileged to be here.
Lovely to have you today in our forum. So my question to you is, what is the role of teacher in play-based learning? What are the challenges of play-based learning?
Thank you so much for the question. Okay, children, sit down, be quiet, finger on your lips, listen carefully. Now I'm going to teach you opposites. Repeat after me. Hot, cold, hot. Does this sound familiar to you? This is how many of us have delivered lessons in the class. This teacher-directed method, which promotes rote learning, passive learning, often loses children's attention within minutes. Hello, I'm Ami Vora, parent, educator, founder of Enrichment Express, and author. Thank you for joining me today as we explore the invaluable role of teachers in play-based learning within early childhood setting. As early educators, we recognize that play is the essence of learning in early years. Let us quickly describe the attributes of play, which Dr. Vasavi has already said. Play is self-directed, it's process-driven, not goal-driven, it's imaginative and exploratory, it's social, which involves cooperation and communication. Maria Montessori said that play is the work of a child, and Rabindranath Tagore also said that the highest education is not the one that imparts information, but the one that makes learning joyful. Play is a joyful experience. To incorporate play-based learning in early childhood education in alignment with the NEP 2020, today I will draw upon philosophies of three theorists, which has been already spoken about earlier, so I will not delve into details, who are especially important to our understanding of play. There's Jean Piaget, Mildred Parton, and Lev Vygotsky. According to Piaget, there are 4 different types of play. There's functional play, constructive play, there's symbolic play, and then there is games with rules. In Mildred Parton's stage theory, which describes the different ways children play and interact with each other, there are 6 stages. These 6 stages start from the unoccupied play going on all the way to cooperative play. These 6 stages help teachers understand where each child is in their social development. Take cooperative play, for example. When children engage in activities that require teamwork, they practice negotiation, they practice conflict resolution, and the teacher can become an important observer, carefully observing and stepping back, only stepping in when required, letting children learn organically from their own interactions. A Russian psychologist named Lev Vygotsky believed that every person has 2 stages of skill development. One, the level they achieve themselves, and the second is a level they can achieve with the help of an experienced mentor or an experienced teacher. He referred to the level an individual can achieve with help of somebody else as their ZPD, or the zone of proximal development, which is the range of tasks a child can do with help but cannot do on their own. Scaffolding involves an experienced teacher or instructor guiding a learner through the task that is within their ZPD. Now, let us look at this image of a child. This child was used to building towers with blocks, with the teacher's gentle questioning about what she did over the weekend and heard that she had gone to a movie theater. The teacher gently prompted her to make a little movie theater with blocks, replete with a ticket window, a screen, seats which are symmetrical, exits, and even a popcorn stall. This approach aligns with Lev Vygotsky's view that play allows children to always behave beyond their age, with teachers scaffolding their learning, and within the child's zone of proximal development. Not only did this child learn about construction through ZPD, but also the play involved into a more meaningful conversation and imaginative play. Based on the theories of play, now let's enumerate the role of teachers in play-based learning. In a play-based classroom, teachers act as facilitators and guides rather than directors. A teacher's role is to encourage children to construct their own understanding of the world around them and to construct their own understanding of their academics, while the teachers provide non-intrusive guidance aligning with the NEP 2020's emphasis on child-centric learning. According to NEP 2020, teachers can create beautiful environments rich with materials and activities that encourage engagement, encourage curiosity, and most importantly, autonomy. Educators creating diverse interest-based play zones such as sensory stations, art areas, block play areas, home play areas. They create these by providing these spaces for open-ended exploration. What do? They encourage auto-education. This allows children to freely explore the materials that are purposefully designed to build independence and engagement. This approach mirrors one of my favorite policies, that is the Reggio Emilia philosophy, where the environment itself is seen as a third teacher. Another role of the teacher is to create learning experiences that promote children's diverse intelligences, which align with the NEP 2020's holistic approach. This is done by designing flexible, age-appropriate curriculum for discovery learning. Let the children discover on their own by giving a very, very fluid environment and a fluid circumstances. The teacher's role then is to engage children in ways that suit their unique intelligences, such as linguistic, musical intelligence, inter- and intrapersonal skills, and spatial reasoning. Te Whāriki, New Zealand's early childhood curriculum, emphasizes teacher-initiated provocations and child-led explorations to spark curiosity and to spark language. Educators design learning invitations. They're inviting the children to learn. So learning invitations, how? Through open-ended questions, materials, and provocations that focus on joyful learning. Again, we have to remember that play is spontaneous, play is joyful, it comes within the child, and hence all the activities that the teacher plans have to be focused on the meaning of play, on the true meaning of play. Teachers can incorporate natural elements also, such as outdoor play, into the curriculum and provide hands-on experiences. Now, as we said earlier, that teachers are guides. They provide gentle guidance. They observe and respond to each child's unique interests and needs. Individualized or personalized learning can be tailored to each child's pace and interest using play as a medium of discovery. Teachers can promote problem solving and critical thinking skills, which are so essential in real life. How do they do it? Through puzzles, construction activities, collaborative games. These nurture critical thinking, which also encourages the child to explore, experiment, and do teamwork. Purposefully designed materials like Montessori materials, Preble's gifts, these purposefully designed materials allow children to explore at their own pace. And what happens then? That builds independent learners and their self-esteem. It is a teacher's role to make play-based learning accessible to all. And the last point in the role of a teacher in play-based learning is, how do you assess a child's growth and learning effectively? How do you do that? How does assessment take place in a play-based learning? So, assess the child's growth and learning effectively by observing the children's interactions and adapting the activities to meet up with their developmental needs. Assessment is to inform the teachers, but not to grade the student. So here we are talking about assessment as to how the teacher can learn where the child needs to develop. Now, although this method of play is the basis for learning in early childhood education, this natural learning process comes with its own unique challenges. Understanding these challenges helps educators, administrators, and policymakers better support their approach. Now, what are the challenges? Let's look at these obstacles. The first one is lack of training and professional development. Teachers often lack a formal training and specialized training in play-based pedagogy, making it difficult to scaffold the learning effectively. If the teachers themselves do not know how to incorporate play in a setting, then how are they supposed to put it into practice. So the lack of training is a very big obstacle. The second one, assessment difficulties. Assessing progress in a play-based setting is very, very complex. Traditional tests do not capture the full range of learning, particularly in areas of emotional development, socio-emotional skills, and creativity. How do you assess those? The third difficulty is classroom management and behavioral challenges. Now, in a play-based classroom where activities are less structured, maintaining order can be so challenging. Children's self-directed exploration can lead to conflicts within them or overstimulation, especially in large groups. This requires educators to act as effective mediators and guide social interactions carefully. Without adequate adult-to-child ratio, educators may struggle to monitor these interactions and to intervene constructively, leading to behavior issues which may in fact disrupt the learning and not promote it. This can be especially challenging when working with very young children who are still developing self-regulation. Now, if the class size is extremely large, it gets very difficult for one or two teachers not only to maintain how to learn, how to develop these skills in the children, but also it is very difficult to assess and to observe. Keeping play-based classrooms structured without stifling play requires careful management, especially in large groups. Limited resources and infrastructure in a lot of places in India, especially in rural India, many schools lack materials or space for diverse play activities. The next point in our challenges is parental expectations. Many times, parents from IB schools come to me and say, ma'am, you know, all that my child is doing in school is play. So how is he learning? So the parental expectation and misunderstanding of play-based learning is another challenge. Parents view play as non-academic. And some of the parents prefer traditional methods. Educators need to communicate the purpose and value of play-based learning to parents through meetings, workshops, newsletters, and even a one-to-one. And they have to explain how play supports emotional, social, and cognitive development in ways that go beyond the test scores and worksheets. Curriculum goals, administrative and policy constraints. Some educational systems emphasize interviews, assessments, academic outcomes, standardized assessments, and there is so much pressure on the educator to prioritize structured way of teaching over play-way method. Balancing the play curriculum demands flexibility and creativity, but how does a teacher do that when there is so much pressure? There has to be clear guidance and support from the administration. Emphasis on academic outcomes and assessments creates pressure on educators to prioritize structured teaching over play-based learning. Through teacher training, flexible assessment, clear communication with parents, and creative use of resources, we can continue to honor the child's right to play. And we not only honor the child's right to play, but we also respect their nature and lay a strong, strong foundation for their future growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. It was very, very beautifully and elaborately, talked about, the difference between the role of teacher in play-based learning, which is basically creating a play-based learning environment in the school. And also, scaffolding, which is so important because the child struggles. And every child is struggling when they move from one stage to the next. And so they need a lot of facilitation. They need a lot of guidance during these periods. And and we see that very, very relevantly said in India, the class size, which is bigger, how difficult it is to implement play-based learning, and how teachers struggle actually to work with so many children and assess them in the right manner or give them the right environment for play-based learning. So I think, yeah, this is really beneficial, and we can, yeah, and the very again pertinent point taken is parents, because they do not understand the importance of play-based learning. I have been interacting with parents all these years, like last 24 plus years, and they always, now it is a little different, but they would always still want their child to go into the regular route learning of reading and writing and, literacy and numeracy skills developed in the route manner, not in the playway manner. So yeah, a lot of change needs to come in, but I think eventually things are getting better. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Vasavi, and thank you, ECTF, for giving me a platform to talk about my views. Thank you
it's
so much.
lovely to have you today. And moving on to our last speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Monica Diwan. She is the Director of Others Education Solution, advisor, author, and international educator. Brings nearly 3 decades of experience in transforming education. Dr. Diwan has inspired positive change across 60 plus nationalities, fostering growth and empowering educators and organizations. Her distinguished career highlights are Director of After School and Summer Program, Physical Health Educator at American Embassy School, New Delhi for 25 years, Global Consultant for Inclusive Education, Early Child Fitness, PE and Health, Special Olympics USA, and advisor to the Khaitan schools. Welcome, Dr. Diwan.
Thank you so much. Thank you
So
so much.
happy to have you.
Lovely pleasure to be with all of you.
So my question for you, again, going back to physical play, which is now, gradually it's slow, getting down because of children getting glued to the gadgets, into the virtual screen. So, Dr. Diwan, tell us about the importance of physical education for a child's holistic development.
Certainly. I think this question is a great question. It's very, very close to my heart. Importance of physical education and how we can promote a child's holistic health. I'd like to get started with wishing all kids across all parts of the globe a very happy Children's Day, because that's really the theme of our webinar today. As we are all aware, in today's fast-paced world, technology has really taken over. It's taken over literally every other aspect. Children and all other ages as well, I would say, I would like to include, are leading a very primarily sedentary life. There's a lot of digital addiction for, again, all ages. Screen time is up, outdoor play is down, and we all are well aware, according to research, rate of childhood obesity is on the rise. To add to it, there is pressure of academics, and it becomes very clear that a well-rounded approach to education, especially physical education, is all the more required now. Physical education is much more than just exercise or sports as most people really think about it. It is the prime pillar of holistic development. Especially for early child age group, I would say it is the foundation of one's life. And just like a foundation for a house needs to be very, very strong, similarly, the foundation for an individual, starting with early child age, is most important. So we have to make sure that we cater to the early years in a very thoughtful manner. For educators, especially, I would say teaching, I've taught at all ages. At American School, I've taught from early child all the way up to high school, and now I train adults. So I really know how much effort goes into teaching early years students. It is very important that we treat physical education like any other academic area, and we keep it simple and fun for kids. We don't have to make it complicated, as my other esteemed speakers just shared. We must make sure we get to the level of those students. We keep it fun for them. And that's what will keep the excitement on. When we talk about holistic development, I have a slide to share with you. And yeah, here it comes. Is it visible? Is it visible to all of you? Yeah, okay, great. Now, when we are talking about health, it's really, one has to be sound in all aspects of health, not just physical health, which is what most people really think it is about. I want us all to imagine a flower with multiple colored petals, like you see in this picture. So we're thinking about not just the physical domain, where globally people are more inclined towards improving their physical health, but the other aspects too: mental, emotional, spiritual, social. So once we are able to think about health in terms of all the domains, and we understand that they're all interrelated, and we must cater to 360 degrees approach and take complete care of ourselves, I believe our students, starting from early years, if they have that philosophy, or if they have that understanding with them, they can really be amazing. They can turn into amazing global citizens or global adults. That's what I would like to say. We must build a strong foundation, starting with physical health, keeping it really fun. As I said, you can have fun yoga, fun activities where students are intrinsically involved. It should not feel like, oh, it's a burden for them. If they're coming out of their classroom setting, which is like they're seated in a chair for a very long duration, it is most exciting for them to come out onto the playground, participate in PE with all of you. And I would say that should be the most exciting time of the day for those children. Also, I'm sure we are all aware, World Health Organization, American Heart Association, and all the other research organizations recommend at least 60 minutes of daily physical activity for that particular age group. So that is very important that schools restrict to that guideline and follow that religiously. Okay. Further, I would want to stress upon that physical education enhances our motor skills and cognitive abilities. And there's ample amount of research that suggests that beyond physical benefits, exercise directly impacts our brain. It increases blood flow, blood flow as well as oxygen, and it boosts cognitive functions like memory, focus, problem solving. So if we ensure that kids are physically active, they will definitely be able to perform better. Early years is also a great age where through physical activities, we are able to impart numeracy and literacy skills to our students. So this is certainly leading to their holistic growth. Physical education outside, kids learn social skills. They're taking care of their emotional well-being, whether it's team building activities or just communication, conflict resolution, leadership abilities. All of those are being inculcated through physical education. And studies have shown that children who are physically active have fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, and they enjoy a greater sense of well-being. Instilling life skills and values beyond physical and mental health, PE teaches essential life skills. Children learn to be disciplined. They learn how to take turns. They experience winning and losing. They experience choices. So each of those are actually preparing them for challenging situations coming up in life ahead. We'll all have challenges, yeah? And we need to teach kids how to learn to deal with those challenges with fairness, with integrity, and just like a sportsmanship spirit. Yeah, that has to be inculcated from early child years for sure. Then there are long-term benefits and opportunities, and schools in PE don't just prepare children for today, they prepare them for the future. So I would like to say that physical education is not an extra subject as viewed in certain parts of the world. It is a very important subject. That is why I say physical education is just like any other area. And I'm sure we've all heard in our childhood or in other spaces, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I'd like to share with you that all work and no play is not going to make Jack a dull boy. Rather, if a child is playing, a child is physically active, they will be better active, they will be better holistically developed, and they will be able to participate in life much better than a child who has not been playing. So I really feel physical education is most important to bring about the holistic development or all-rounded growth of children starting from early years. I do have a video to share, but in the interest of time, Dr. Vasavi, I think it'll be nice if I can just share the link in our Facebook comments. I think that'll be great for
Yes.
people to view that perfect PE actually leads to perfect development. So that's the video, but I do see my time getting over. So at this point, I would like to close, but great interacting with all of you. And this is a beautiful topic that you've chosen. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. Very eloquently explained the importance of play and how it helps a child develop holistically. And since this webinar has been planned for the Children's Day, which was on 14th of November, so I would, before it's time we wind up, but before we do so, I would want you to go back to your childhood days and tell me one word that comes to your mind when the word play comes. If somebody tells you go and play. So let me start with Dr. Sue. One word.
Freedom.
Lovely. Darlene, over to you.
I would say mud, because I did a lot of mud playing when I was young.
Mud. Smriti.
Oh, for me, it was like enjoyment, pure fun.
Enjoyment, fun. Amy.
Well, I had enjoyment and fun right up there on the tip of my tongue. So now I'm going to say, now I'm going to say outdoors.
Outdoors. And Dr. Monica.
Fun, all-time fun.
Fun. And for me, it was like true bliss. I used to love to play and I still love to play. So this topic is very close to my heart. And I feel that, I've learned in my life, when we talk about children, it's all, the research that we have done. Everybody is doing in this field, how play is important, how important it is to, actually involve the child in play method of learning. But at the same time, when we think of our own childhood, we have learned much more outside the classroom, playing, than inside the classroom, being in that, conventional learning, scenario. So I think this webinar has had wonderful takeaways for all our viewers, and we will be putting it up in our YouTube channel as well, and then sharing the link for all those who have missed today. Being partly working for some because we work even on Saturdays. And thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sue, taking out your time in spite of your busy schedule. I've heard. I had a word with Dr. Kathy as well about you're really doing a lot of great work.
And I mentioned her as well, so she got her name in.
I know you were really busy. Dr. Monica Diwan, thank you for joining everybody. Darlene, Smriti Agarwal, and Amy Vora, all of you found time for this discussion today and to share your knowledge and experience, which is so important because there are a lot of people who'd want to know more about, play, who'd want to know more about different subjects. So that is what ECDF has been doing, spreading knowledge and spreading the best practices so that, every child gets those best practices in their early childhood years and they bloom into wonderful individuals. So thank you once again for joining us, and we'll come up with our next event. And in December, we'll be launching, releasing our next issue of EdClan as well. And with this, we wind up for today, and have a great evening ahead. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.